Scientology so afraid of?
This is SPTV.
Hello guys, how are you doing? Hope everyone is doing okay. I wanted to do a reaction video to a video that was sent by a few of you sent me this video, and you were asking me to react to it, given that I was trained as an interrogator in Scientology. And these guys are called the Behavior Panel, and the Behavior Panel is comprised of 4 expert body, what is it called? Like body communicators or body language experts. So 4 experts weigh in, and I thought it would be interesting to continue to really kind of pick apart some of the aspects that are being not really seen by the experts and the media on this apology video. I believe that there's still a little bit of superficiality in the mainstream corporate narrative. So let's see and react on what is talked about in this video. Let's go.
All right, we're going to do a short one on Ashton Kutcher and Mila and the video.
So the first guy is called Scott Rouse, body language expert and analyst who trains law enforcement and military in interrogation and body language.
Yeah, let's just come out about them. Greg, why don't you tell us about the video we're going to watch?
And the one behind him, or sitting right underneath him, is Mark Bowden, expert in human behavior and body language communication to leaders of the G7.
Yeah, this is just a video. Masterson was just sentenced to 30 years in prison, and apparently they wrote a letter.
This one here is Chase Hughes, bestseller in behavioral tactics, retired U.S. military trainer to U.S. intelligence operatives. So shout out to you, Chase.
About their experience with him to the judge. It was meant to be to the judge, but was leaked, and it's...
And Greg Hartley, former interrogator and resistance to interrogation instruction, author of 10 body language books. So just to continue to contextualize why some of you guys send me this video is because interrogation is Scientology's specialty. So let's make sure that that is very, very clear. The audits that are done in the hotel rooms are done and carried out as enhanced interrogation techniques. And enhanced interrogation techniques that I bet you, even these interrogators here, as professional as they are, would not have been able to legally get away with interrogating subjects like we were interrogating them in those hotels. So let's see what they see, and let's see how I see it, and then let's see what you guys all think at the end of this video.
It's caused them a whole lot of turmoil, and this is their response.
We are aware of the pain that has been caused by the character letters that we wrote on behalf of Danny Masterson.
We support victims. We have done this historically through our work and will continue to do so in the future.
A couple months ago, Danny's family reached out to us and they asked us to write character letters to represent the person that we knew for 25 years so that the judge could take that into full consideration relative to the sentencing.
The letters were not written to question the legitimacy of the judicial system or the validity of the jury's ruling.
They were intended for the judge to read and not to undermine the testimony of the victims or re-traumatize them in any way. We would never want to do that. And we're sorry if that has taken place.
Our heart goes out to every single person who's ever been a victim of sexual assault, sexual abuse.
All right, Greg, what do you got?
I'll be pretty quick. He uses distancing language. Are aware has been caused, not by us, but by the letters. There's distancing language. He shows distaste. Whether that distaste is because he wrote it or he's being canceled is another story. But they are clearly stating their intent and purpose. And if you don't believe it, you can see the non-acting piece of it as the blink rate increases and they have to try to control emotion. You see her control emotion with lip compression, and you see his blink rate increase at cause pain. Whatever caused it, they're believable in that they are apologizing. Whether that's wise or not sure. Chase, what about you?
Well, just let's quickly react to that feedback because, yes, there's obvious blinking and there's obvious discomfort that we are seeing for ourselves in this video by both of them. But I think there's a lot more than meets the eye besides those reactions. So let's dig into much further what Scott Rouse is going to now say. But just keep a tab on those descriptions for you guys. Just keep a tab for yourselves.
I have a small conflict of interest here, but I'm going to give you exactly what I see.
Small conflict of interest from Chase. Gee, wonder why his conflict of interest would be, guys. Would he be working for the Church of Scientology, or, maybe someone in the Mr. Kutcher and Mila's, nonprofit? Be great to know, but maybe we won't find out.
Either way, there's a genuine emotion, but not necessarily the emotion of apology in Mila, especially when she's mentioning being supportive of the victims. And I think she means this, and you'll see her eyes blink a lot more, and eye blocking, more eye closure while she's talking here. And we tend to blink more often when we're stressed out, less often when we're just super focused on something. So this is a lot of stress that spikes at this precise moment. And blink rate is one of those perfect indicators where you can see that a perfect little barometer in the moment of stress. And even the head movement of avoidance away from the camera there. And in our culture today, the online mob have kind of amplified reactions because of anonymity, and they make the pressure to make videos like this a lot more powerful. And the pressure is insurmountable because it makes someone artificially feel like some horrible thing is going to happen if you don't make a video like this. And that might be what we're seeing here. Maybe not. Open to being corrected on that.
Well, thank you, Chase. Let's correct you on that. Number one, let's not pretend. Let's not be delusional about the fact that these apology videos are done as a desperate attempt by these elite celebrities to clean up their image when it's been soiled, not so much from just some sort of mob mentality where the anonymity of the internet. Read the comments for yourself, Chase, and you tell me if the comments that are being left on these videos are just mob mentality, trolling type comments, or if, people might be making some pretty good points in 1 and 2 sentences to react very clearly about what they saw themselves. And this video could not be more desperate. This video could not be any more transparent because it shows the level of smugness and entitlement that these two couple of the year from Hollywood, surrounded by yes men's all around them, find themselves having to do this when it's the last thing they want to be inconvenienced by. So maybe think about that for a little bit. And then we're going to expand on the inconvenience as we continue reacting to this video.
Mark, what do you got?
Yeah, conflicts of interest. Well, they are conflicted in their interests, and that's why we get the performance that we get. Would they have apologized if they hadn't have been called out? No, they're not apologizing off their own back. They are apologizing because they're being forced into that situation. What choices are they making around that? Well, I think, maybe I don't know them well enough, but I think they've made the choice there to be unshaven, minimal makeup, in front of the barn boards. So really kind of dowdy look to it all, t-shirts on, like we've just, managed to throw this one together. And yet at the same time, very organized as to who takes what part of it. Stilted rhythm of their reaction there, because I think they are under pressure. Now, what's so we've got Mila here biting the inside of her mouth, both sides, under stress, and yet the double shoulder shrug of like, well, what are you going to do about it? So I think the conflict is this. The idea should be, look, you can't found a charity for abused children and write letters to try and mediate a judge's view of a convicted abuser. You shouldn't do A and B at the same time. But life is conflicted, and sometimes you do this and you hoped that people wouldn't see that life is conflicted. And so they've been forced into this position of going, this is a bit worrisome, but hey, what are we going to do about this? It's a complex situation. We're seeing conflict in there. Look, I think there's it lacks for many people the logic, because they should just utterly apologize and say we should never have done that. But that's not realistic, because people do all kinds of things all the time which have slight or large conflicts. They just hope you don't get to see them. In this case, you have got to see.
So yes, I agree with this assessment, you guys. The t-shirts were utterly staged. They're sitting in front of their barn. Mila is wearing not a shred of makeup. Now, does this look to anyone like they actually care? Because they usually get pretty dolled up when they want to go pitch things to the shows and to the TVs and to all the networks. So they definitely know how to prepare themselves. They do have a $275 million waiting at their disposal for the best of the best. But you know what? They didn't want to do that. And as much as they were trying to seem so casual, which you see is pretty much their MO anytime they're ever backed into a corner. Never mind that this corner that they backed themselves into looks like no other shred of corner that these multimillionaires have ever been a part of. After Mila and Ashton have surrounded themselves with yes men for themselves, people that will literally do whatever in the hell these two millionaires need done. I mean, that's how power structures work, you guys. That is how these people in Hollywood that are worth nearly $300 million work. And everything is extremely acted, which is what actually makes it so unbelievable, what actually insults our intelligence. Like, oh yeah, just make it look like you really don't care. So really, people forget about it. Just make it a casual thing. So the real question is, why would they put it on themselves to write that information on a piece of paper? And for those who say, well, only the judge is going to read it. Well, if you really think that you're writing something to a judge that's going to read it, would you really write that? You would think that if a judge was going to read it, you were really going to, tap into your legal experts, tap into all your resources to make sure that you spoke correctly for what was being asked of you. And this is where we need to dig deeper, you guys, because just like in Scientology, when you were doing interrogations, when I was doing interrogations as a child, I was told, if there's things that are contrary facts, that's what they called it, contrary facts, pull the string, find out what's behind that contrary fact. And the contrary fact here being is, why would Mila and Ashton, power couple of the century from Hollywood, both Hollywood darlings, power couples, that definitely took it upon themselves to be besties with this kid that grew in Scientology and ended up a convicted, exactly what in the hell we mean, Danny Masterson. Why would they be inconvenienced to write that letter in the first place? Because Ashton goes out of his way to tell us, oh, Danny's family reached out to us. Who reached out to you? Danny's family, Ashton, with that big generality, big broad generality. His whole entire family reached out to you all at the same time. They all said, you know what, let's all call him right now. Or was it Danny's mom, Carol Masterson? Somebody that was a key figure in your life and in Mila's life all throughout that 70s show. Right, Ashton? I mean, wasn't Carol really, 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 really close to y'all, since she was always helicoptering around her sons and helicoptering around the set and helicoptering around and controlling and telling people what to do and finding out who was doing who with what, where, when, and how? Because, you guys, as the thumbnail suggests in this video, knowing damn well how L. Ron Hubbard's proteges think, knowing damn well how L. Ron Hubbard's proteges play this power game, data mining blackmail, including but not limited to data mining blackmail. See, they come in very helpful. Right? When Ashton was like, oh, guys, you have no idea what just happened to me. I just showed up to my supposed alleged date that I was going to go on. I touched the door to open it. My fingerprints are on the door, and this woman is literally on the floor with blood spilled. What should I do? So if y'all think that Scientology wouldn't have come in and crisis managed that, maybe not. But you know what? The other possibility is maybe yes. And even though the phone call happened between Ashton and Danny, Guess who Danny would go and tell everything to? Guess who is Danny's? This is what they call it, you guys. Literally kid you not. Danny's terminal. His terminal was his mom. Danny's terminal was Carol Masterson. And what the terminal means is that is the person you go to speak to about sensitive subjects and certain info. I'm not your terminal. Go talk to the terminal that is supposed to handle, including but not limited to Class A felonies. Get it? So it is extremely hard to think in this year 2023 that Carol Masterson would have remained ignorant of everything and anything related to Ashton and Mila. There was a lot of money made by all of them. There was a lot of stuff going on in that set. The more we scratch the surface of that 70s show, the more the dirt pours out. The more we pull the string, the more questions are there that don't make a shred of sense in this year 2023. So why is the question that interrogators should be asking themselves when things don't make sense? Does it make sense that $300 million show up at a screen? Because they're just afraid of getting canceled, you guys. They're really, really like, oh no, don't cancel me. I mean, these people don't need to work for the rest of their 10 trillion lives going forward. They cannot finish $275 million if they went around spending ungodly amounts of money on nothing. Right or wrong, Ashton and Mila? So the real question is, why are these two influencers of the millennia, Ashton, Mr. CEO, top tech entrepreneur of the world, act in an infantile manner, capitulating to the desires of the family? Because what? They got nothing on you, Ashton? They got nothing that is making you sound that pathetic. And your pitch just being all over the place. Like, go and check out Ashton's acting skills, you guys, when he's literally talking to pitch his companies that he's very proud to be an investor of. Because trust me, Ashton is very good at not sounding like a bumbling idiot when the only thing we can think of is he is in power in those conversations. When in this conversation, he was not in power. Ashton Kutcher was not in power whatsoever of this conversation. Who really asked him to write the letter and why? The contents of those letters were also done to sway a judge. They didn't have a shred of wanting to literally just be like, yeah, we get that he's very guilty, and, you know, they can't start singing in praises. Like, they rub their entitlement all over the letter, you guys. All over the letter is Mr. Ashton Kutcher's entitlement and Mila Kunis. And then when they got caught writing how they really felt when they weren't being watched because they just dropped their guard, because they probably didn't even wanted to do it when Carol did ask them, well, you know, Danny's been there for you. You better be there for him. I need that letter written. I need to see, you know, because, and let's not forget, you guys, that Carol Masterson herself is getting torched, cremated. Do you have any idea the amount of pressure on Carol Masterson by all of the executive Scientology proteges who are getting extremely desperate and pressed to take control of this narrative? I mean, we already have it from growing up in Scientology that they are tapping their so-called field, the ones that are not in the Sea Org. They don't want this information to spill into its members. Its members all purport and think like infantile idiots that they're the most ethical group on the planet. And the most ethical group on the planet, you guys, sells courses that people can complete in 2 weeks. And they can be literally advising on, including but not limited to, Class A felonies. Is that what you called practicing law without a license? I would not literally know, since I also grew up in a cult from hell, where education about the law was not in my repertoire. But you know, GTSing real quick has definitely shown me that maybe there is a lot more there than meets the eye, and maybe they are not supposed to be advising on Class A felonies that people are paying money to get their needle floated so that the felony can blow. And there's always a financial incentive and transaction that takes place. So when that can be literally reconciled, when that can be audited and reconciled as a fact of what takes place in those interrogations, as a fact of Carol Masterson's involvement in being the puppeteer of all these kids. After all, Carol was the one that had been managing, exploiting her own son as a child actor, including but not limited to sending him across state lines when he was 9 years old to go get some roles, go make some money. We need to go up the bridge in Scientology, make that money, get the job, book it up. Come on, do it. Produce. If you don't produce, you're a downstat. If you don't get an audition, you are a piece of garbage. What's wrong with you? Why are you not getting these auditions? What are you doing wrong? What's wrong with you? That's what Danny Masterson would have been told at 9 years old. Because all of these adults adulticize their kids and infantilize themselves. And you know what? That was not a good idea. Literally.
Conflict is there. Scott, what do you got on this one?
I think we're seeing frustration and anger because I don't think they wanted to do this. And I think they were probably angry that somebody let that thing leak. And I don't think they did it because they are against victims or anything at all. I think they're having to come, but that it should be obvious that everyone should and probably is against that. But having to come out and say it, I think that makes them feel belittled. In other words, especially look at Ashton, he's over it, man. He's not into this at all, but he knows he has to because of the way the world is run right now, or the way things are going. So I think it's anger and frustration of having to come out and say they're sorry to the internet. Oh man, and you can see it all over him. And you're right, Mark. Everybody's got their spot. He opens up and throws it to her, and she throws it back to him. And they've said, what are we going to do? You cover these points. And, they have to have a person. They'll say, here's how we take care of this. We do this, this, and this. So they did it, and we did a whole episode on people who were apologizing to the internet. Boy, did that look horrible for all of them. But this one looks like this is the most real we've seen from somebody that, they're sorry they did that. But I think they're mad that they're angry and frustrated that they have to do this part of it, because everyone should know already they don't feel that way. Obviously they don't. So I can understand that frustration from them, and we're seeing it all over them. All right, fellas, thanks this is a good one, and see you next time.
So let's react to this last one, this last expert's opinion. And he couldn't tell us how over it Ashton was, how inconvenienced this white privileged man that's worth $275 million was showing. He couldn't have been more inconvenienced, because they're just so sick of having to repeat that obviously they really are pro-victim, obviously. And that they were sorry that they got caught. Because yet again, you guys, when they wrote down something where they knew no one was watching, they wrote down how they really felt. They wrote down in their entitled, self-absorbed, zero self-reflection way to that judge who they were. And, they didn't want to take the stand. They didn't want to take the questions from the prosecution. They could have been, really vouching for him and saying, like, hell, this is nobody that would ever do this. Like, what in the hell are you all thinking about? But no, Ashton and Mila did not take the stand. And they were literally couldn't have been closer to who is now a full-blown convicted felon. They couldn't have been closer to him. So all of these interrogation experts failed the smell test of what would drive a extremely successful, extremely wealthy, extremely on top of the world power couple of the millennia to literally fall flat on their faces, writing letters talking about how this man had never lied in his whole entire existence. These letters, you guys, smell like Scientology all over them. They smell like the handlers. They smell like how they need to speak about themselves with that level of entitlement and narcissism. They are like that. Definitely the L. Ron Hubbard proteges are like that. And definitely Ashton and Mila, who cannot stop telling us what an influence their opinion leader, who never failed to show up to give them advice, to be a full-blown confidant, that, Mila and Ashton didn't have to go to Scientology for the blackmail data to have been collected on them. You guys, Ashton and Mila had not needed to go get interrogated to have it go video recorded and the contemporaneous notes written, but Danny did. He definitely did. And so did Luke Watson, who was there, crisis managing the situation and also getting in trouble because the puritanical fake culture in those hotels is exactly that. We are going to handle this out ethics. We really care. We really are against it. We really don't want anyone to go out to D. Okay, Danny, stop being aberrated. Stop being an out to D, aberrated, low tone individual. So that's how it would have been pitched to Danny, including but not limited to self-admitted commissions of Class A felonies. So as long as Danny showed up to that celebrity center and got security checked as he would have been required, it wasn't optional. It wouldn't be, would you like to come and do this? No, you guys. Danny was told, you're going to show up at Celebrity Center at this time. You're going to pay us $50,000 so that every single hour you're getting interrogated, you're getting billed $500 an hour, $500 an hour, $500 an hour. And the more they bill, the more they become incriminated. Those people that did the 2-week course at the hotel. Talking about, oh, they're doing therapy, they're doing this. They are literally fishing, asking leading questions, very leading questions. Have you committed a criminal act for which you have not been arrested? So it wasn't like they just wanted to know, how's your day going? And tell me more about your day. And let's just chit chat here. And no. Everything had a procedure. Everything had a sequence. Everything had a list of questions that needed to be answered before that session was concluded. Our interrogation sessions could go for including, but not limited to, 9 hours, 12 hours, 8 hours, 6 hours, 13 hours. Interrogators own their subject in Scientology. And unless that subject will incriminate themselves, and in this case, it's not hard for a subject that's already has been reported to the ethics department by women who went there and said there was an out 2D, there was something that happened that was out ethics. And never mind that they could have even blamed it on themselves. Okay, yeah, we were in some out ethics situation. But that was just the grooming and the programming and the false euphemisms used inside those hotels to victim blame a self-admitted felony from a perpetrator on themselves. So there is a ton of context missing, given that the corporate media and even these top expert interrogators don't have a shred of a clue what in the hell they're talking about. Because if they are the experts of interrogators for intelligence offices, you guys, we, the children that were doing interrogations in those hotels, would be running circles around these people. Like literally, they're not seeing below the surface. Why does a multi-millionaire multi-millionaire of the industry take it upon himself to propitiate to a full-blown convicted, you know exactly what in the literal hell we mean. So I guess these interrogators cannot see that these two are under undue influence, some sort of undue influence, you guys. And we're going to be talking to you about more receipts and more information that we are getting contacted with so that we really can make our point, because yet again, the truth corroborates itself. And thanks to L. Ron Hubbard and his idiotic, robotic proteges, everything they did had a policy. Everything they did was robotically implemented, whether it made sense or not. All these robots at these hotels have not a shred of critical thinking skills for themselves. So they all do it the same. They pride themselves of doing it very standardly, and they actually get rewarded like little doggies, Pavlovian style, if they really stick to the script. That's all these people need to do in order to literally practice law without a license. Did you stick to the script? Did you alter any words? Did you add anything of your own? Okay, then that's a very well done. But if you altered even a comma out of the script, you're getting corrected. So all of these scripts that were data mining operations were done on all manner of people implicated, involved, that were there those nights. But now everybody wants to play dumb. Everybody wants to pretend that nobody has a shred of a clue about anything, right, Bree? You have not a shred of a clue. Bree Schaefer, that's married to actor, Scientology actor Michael Pena, would not have any clue about anything happening that night. And Ben Schulman, another one of these Danny Masterson besties since they were children. Ben Schulman, that was the son of an OSA operative, because it's not like Luke Watson and Ben Schulman could have not been collecting their own type of dirt and undue influence for Scientology, since they were planted right there in the center of the Masterson family. So there were so many people that were part of this Hollywood elite Scientology kids clique. And they really ran like they were on a league of their very MF own. They really did believe that they were that special, you guys, because they were being told ad nauseum that they were. Don't forget, Danny was the one that recruited Laura Prepon into those hotels. Guess how many brownie points Danny received, including but not limited to commissions, 10%, 15% commissions for anything that Laura was doing at the Celebrity Center. They call it a FSM, or even Carol would have been Laura's FSM. Could have been, we don't know, but could have been. So that's what makes it so unthinkable, how they're all connected by this hotel who went around data mining, getting everyone's info collected. Danny's brother, Jordan, Danny's brother, Chris Masterson, who was dating Laura Prepon for years. So what do they have on Laura Prepon? What do they have on Chris Masterson? What do they have on Jordan Masterson? What did they have on Danny? Just on those 4 kids. What in the literal hell does Scientology have on those 4? Literally. They've been exposed to the scourge of this rampant environment where they are getting interrogated ad nauseum and they're not allowed to keep a single private thought for themselves. These interrogations, guys, are real AF. And don't forget that the celebrities get hand-selected auditors, the best of the best only. So what does it mean to be the best of the auditors for L. Ron Hubbard? That means that you don't miss. You don't miss a withhold. You find it. You figure it out. You continue barraging him with questions. You ask another one. You ask another one until stuff starts making sense. You smell when they're just trying to sound a little delusional to misdirect you, because if they misdirect you in an interrogation and you end up missing what they're trying to hide, your head will roll. According to L. Ron Hubbard, you couldn't do anything more criminal in Scientology than missing a so-called withhold. So they always want to have your trust on them. You're trusting them in those sessions, in those vulnerable interrogation rooms where they are getting subjugated AF, where they're being made to become unwilling submissives of that role play. And perhaps that force, that lack of consent, could have driven the mental psychosis that Danny Masterson literally developed and took anger issues onto other victims that had not a clue why in the hell he was being that big of a monster. But, you know, Danny said, well, it was done to me, so why don't I just take out my anger on other women instead of taking his anger on his mother, Carol Masterson, who literally constantly, just like all other Scientology parents, you guys, put their children in harm's way, adulticize their kids. And that is what these, you know, interrogation experts, body language experts, whatever, they all missed. That something doesn't make sense still. This is an atrocious apology video, the magnitude of almost making Prince Andrew sound like the most eloquent, best interview ever done to defend the record, where he was caught lying AF. And now there's these two doing the same, literally showing everyone how they don't have a shred of credibility. They're entitled to their own beliefs. Nobody's questioning that, you guys. Nobody's questioning that they all have to be condemning and canceling. Nobody gives a shred of an F. But when they did take it upon themselves to write those letters without thinking that any of those letters were going to be read but by anyone else than a judge, then literally, why would they write what they wrote? I mean, it makes even less sense when they really were writing that to a judge. They didn't have there a moment of self-reflection. Wait, did we even ever go to any of the court appointments that they had? Did we ever listen to any of the testimony? Did we ever listen to the actual things that happen in reality in a courtroom in Los Angeles? Or do we just like to play lawyer and infantilize ourselves? Because what are these actors good for anyways, you guys, other than pretend that they are this and pretend that they are that and pretend and pretend and pretend and get paid the millions and the millions until they just become cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. They have no guardrails. They have no boundaries. They always get told yes. They throw a fit if they're inconvenienced, like you can see here with Mila Kunis, who could not be more irate that she has been inconvenienced, you know, and God knows what she was inconvenienced about. Would it be blackmail on her husband being kept by those hotel executives in Scientology, including but not limited to Dave Pettit, including but not limited to Julian Schwartz, and also that minor that was tapped to do ethics handlings, Miranda Scoggins, would they have any shred of a clue? Would Luke Watson have leaked stuff to them about what he was seeing in those parties and who was doing who to what, where, and when? Because remember, everybody had to write knowledge reports. Oops, this one's going out ethics. Let's really write it down. Let's really tell everyone what we just observed. Time, place, form, and event. On this date, there was a pool party at the house of Scientology actor Danny Masterson, and then he invited a girl, and then they went into the jacuzzi, and then he gave her a drink, and then they took her upstairs, and then she started screaming, and then we went upstairs, and then he said to leave, and then all of that is how Luke would have been writing, expected, groomed to write. And, give Luke Watson credit when credit is MF2. He did the same when he infiltrated Lisa Marie Presley's house, since he was dating her, and, was there on celeb lines, wink, wink. The literal son of the president of Celebrity Center, the long-time president, holder of all blackmail secrets that all her celebrities have. So it doesn't make any sense, you guys, that these people are just out there burning their literal selves, setting their selves on fire without a shred of self-awareness, and other inconvenience that setting themselves on fire is backfiring. They're not used to a shred of consequences, these celebrities, you guys. As much as they spat out platitudes about our hearts go out to all the victims of what? Y'all could not be more dejected from an actual victim experience if everything that's you've been wanting has been handed to you on a silver platter, because once upon a time someone told you, you are the best actress in the world. Come do this show. You're going to be so special. I mean, are these people really that special, you guys? Or is America infatuated with glorifying vile, ridiculous shows that literally make a mockery and a waste of time for the people that are watching it as entertainment, not knowing that the people that they're worshiping, well, aren't they so cool? They came across so relatable. Ha, 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 ha. Well, it's taken decades for the cat to come out of the literal MF bag. But the cat is literally out of that bag. And now that cat is raging and pissed AF, scratching everyone's eyeballs out of their skulls. The cat is out of the literal bag, you guys, and we are going to continue contextualizing a lot more. So I will see you all extremely soon. Bye-bye.